20% for African American students taking AP classes this year. Come on.
Okay, so what are you getting at all that?
What do you mean what I'm getting at? I told you it's institutional racism. But don't take my word for it. Listen to Teaching Tolerance. Don't take my word for it. These are the individuals who have done these studies. So let's take a quick listen.
Or excessive grouping has persisted for a very long time for a number of reasons. One is that I think many teachers just see it as convenient. You know, if you have a group of kids who are not so far apart from each other, they think that it's easier to teach. I think in many cases there's pressure from the parents or advocates of the high-achieving children who are often in favor of having children who are high-achieving be separate from others. But I think that there's kind of a well-meaning belief that instruction should be as targeted to each individual child's needs as possible, and I think many people then take the next step to imagining that the only way to do that is to have children physically separated from each other, either within class or into separate classes. I think that that students shouldn't be separated for long periods of time in any case, and that if you had a grouping plan that you were using that caused children to be separated by performance, and that it so happened in that school that separating children by performance also separated them by ethnicity or language background or what have you, it would give you a very strong message that this is not a good thing to do. I think, you know, we have many goals in education, many objectives, and certainly a sense of being one student body and ultimately one community and one nation is a primary goal in education, along with many others. And if you were using a grouping plan for an instructional reason, it had better have a very strong rationale and be used in a very limited way if it has the effect of separating children by ethnicity or race or language background.
To me, our achievement gap is largely a function of institutional racism. It's largely a function of how we do education. The overassignment of students of color to special education, that's institutional racism. It's built into the system. Institutional racism is where there's a set of assumptions, behaviors, procedures, ways of doing things that are just commonly accepted that everybody kind of participates in, but they have these inequitable results by race. Overassignment of students to special ed, students of color to special ed. Overassignment of your least experienced, least trained, least educated, most alternatively educated teachers to the kids, to students of color. If you look at a district that's very racially diverse and has middle class, lower class, all of your most experienced, most educated, best teachers will be in the middle class white schools, and the greater percentage of your least experienced new teachers, particularly brand new teachers, least educated, most alternatively certified, will be in your low income schools, particularly students of color. And that's national, and it's accepted. That's institutional racism. Overassignment of kids of color to buildings that are the worst buildings, have the worst supplies, have the worst equipment or the least equipment. Underassignment of kids of color to gifted class. All the experts say gifted is equally distributed across all populations. So if I go into a gifted class in a diverse school, I ought to see the same proportions of kids in the gifted as I see in the low track. But 90% of the schools you go into, if you go to a low track school in a diverse school, it'll be kids of color, low income, in the low track, and in the high track will be white middle class kids.
Can we say Columbia High School? This is teaching tolerance now. For listeners out there, Anselm didn't. That wasn't Anselm in the video. That was teaching tolerance in the video. So what I'm saying to you is that what's going on in Columbia High School, in Maplewood Middle School, in South Orange Middle School, in Tuscan Elementary School, in Clinton, and Sad Boy, it's already understood. It's been known for a long time. It's been known. They didn't have to pay this consultant to come in again and do this study again.
Well, let's look at. Can I hear myself again? Hello? Yeah. Let me read. I found this interesting, which is a continuation of the article. When the work was finished, a reporter from each table presented potential goals. These included, among others, getting students and parents involved in the middle school level, meaning the district should start talking to parents and students early about the college process. Reaching students in the 9th grade and having a strategic plan for 4 years of high school. This would entail having a guidance counselor sit down with parents and students in the 9th grade to create a 4-year plan so they'll know what classes they need to achieve their goals. Creating a parent handbook and parent survival guide to make parents aware of all the tools available to them. The guide would have sections on an interactive roadmap to get kids to graduation. Holding classes for parents on how to interact with guidance or administration, which I think CCR has done that. And creating a student survival guide so that students can be responsible for their own education. So again, they have kicked the ball back to the ball is being kicked in the court of the parent to address the inequities
let me say
the
this,
district.
and I'm going to raise this point again. Whenever there is something to do with black in the system, we tiptoe around the mulberry tree.
It's just a bush. I don't know if it's a tree, but I'll have to look that up too. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Okay, the mulberry bush. All right? The mulberry bush, mulberry tree, whatever it is. However, if something has to do with gay and lesbian, do they tiptoe around anything? If it has to do with...
Where's the tiptoeing coming in at?
Because
birthday man.
we don't want to, we want to use, you don't use black. Why shouldn't we use diversity? Let's use diversity instead of using black. So until we start to face up to these realities, we ain't going. This is what it's saying. What we say in Trinidad, you're spinning top in mud. If you spin a top in mud, it's not going anywhere. It's just going to spin in the middle.
I can see that in my head.
That's right. It ain't going nowhere. Seriously, if you take a top and you spin it in mud, it's not going anywhere. If you spin it outside of the mud, it's going to wiggle and go and roll and roll. Because what it is, it's fundamental. In the school district of South Orange and Maplewood, we talk a good game and we get the same results. We've been talking a good game over and over and over. And we get the same results. Right? And you know what? Most people are going to tell you, well, Anselm, you got to give this an opportunity now. You got to give this an opportunity. You got to see this. Times are different. Yeah, times are different. Times are different, but it's worse. It's worse than before. Worse. That means to say, back then it was a little better. Now it's gotten worse. And times are different. So, I really and truly, to me, blow up the whole system and start all over. Blow up the system. Start all over. Start scratch. Start say, you know what? Come September, AP classes are open to every and anybody. Anybody want to take AP classes, you can take it. Right? This kind of garbage. Goba. Goba, what's that? French for garbage? Garbage. Right? Garbage. That, you know what? There are 20% more African Americans in AP classes. Okay, yeah, right. So what? What are you trying to tell us?
So here we have, I don't want to have this discussion because.
But you see, that's part of the problem, though. We gotta have these discussions.
Yes, but because
We gotta.
If you just saw what I saw every day. I mean, there's just something that's void in the culture. In the U.S. culture.
To do with culture.
Yes, it does. It's
this
because
is
culture.
Racism.
There are cultural values that exist, and we take on those values.
Oh.
And wait a minute, not we, but all people. But I think that we are more affected by them than others. Among those values now is an anti-intellectualism. There's no value in being smart. There is celebrity is more important than anything. The device that you've got in your hand 24/7 is being used as a form of entertainment rather than a tool of engagement and education. There's just something, and I was talking to my students today, and I was like, because we're on Mao now, and Mao had this cult of personality. And I told them, I says, well, who do you guys look up to other than celebrities? And this kid raised her hand and said, Miss, who else are we supposed to look up to? Who else are we? So you think about, politicians who I would look up to. They're corrupt.
Politicians?
Right?
I look up to my parents.
You can't look up to the police. Somebody says, well, you can look up to teachers, and I wasn't going to blow my horn and say, yeah, look up to teachers because some of them may be helpful to you and others may not. So who are they looking up to? That's a real person, not someone created out of someone's head,
My parents.
Maybe everyone's parent is not someone to look up to. And if they're not looking at their parents in that way.
Well, either my mother or my father.
No, but we're not talking about you. We're talking about kids
No,
today.
I'm talking about kids.
Okay.
I'm talking about other kids.
They may not be looking at their parents that way. Their parents might be just as messed up. So where is...
Well, it could be one could be messed up and the other one is fine.
Where is the guidance for these children? Who are they to model themselves after?
Maybe a coach.
Yeah. If they're on a team. Some people are just academic or not either one.
There may be a teacher.
But I mean, this is the thing. I mean, it's who in their community are they looking up to? Who in their home, their household are they looking up to? If all you can sit there and talk about is Kim Kardashian and Nicki Minaj and Beyonce, and the only rich people they've ever heard of are Bill Gates, the only food they can think of is McDonald's. I mean, this is the society we live in. And so I think that we get super affected, as black people get super affected by the culture because they use us pretty much to sell the culture. They use us to sell the culture. So that's the image I see. I could be a football player, I could be a basketball player, or I can be a rapper. Not even a musician, nonetheless, but a rapper. So there's not... I don't know. This is why, again, I believe that we have to create institutions and access for our children and not totally leave it up to the district. We as a community,
but we can't,
if we had a community,
absolve the district of the responsibility.
Oh, no. We can't absolve the district. I agree with that. You cannot absolve them, but you cannot put the entire onus for the education of our children on
I'm not putting the entire onus on them. I'm saying to them that you may see my kid more than I see my kid in a day. A teacher at Columbia High School may interact with my kid.
You do not have 50 minutes for your child?
Don't I have what?
50 minutes. 50 minutes. Do you have 50 minutes?
I'm talking about overall teachers.
Oh, but you said a teacher.
Well,
so I only see your kid for 45 minutes out of the day.
I'm talking about teachers.
Okay. So you got 6 teachers in a day.
Yeah, may interact more with your kid during the day.
Several of them. But at the same time, I'm interacting with 150 kids. So I'm only got, whatever fraction of amount of time to deal with that kid. And it's not like kids aren't coming up to you. They're sitting there at your break. They're up under you. If you're in a classroom, I have kids sitting around me. You have to get up and move to the other side of the room because they want, so Miss Lloyd, they want to sit around you and smell you. And will you help me do this? Me, when I got 30 other people sitting in there who all want that. Or somebody over there who's going to be neglected because I'm talking to Ashley right now. Or I'm talking to Eddie right now. Mm-hmm. So it's not, they need something else. And this is, they need some experience. But